So the preaching of today is called U-turn, and the decision is yours. Points to cover. We're going to be talking about what is a U-turn, what stops us from making the U-turn, ignoring the U-turn signs, and making that U-turn. So as we were driving to Washington, D.C., obviously my husband puts on the GPS and two GPSs just in case, the Waze and the actual GPS in the car, just in case something goes wrong or whatever the case is. So, we left in the evening time, and, we caught up on traffic. And thank God for GPS, thank God for Waze and all that stuff. And I'm just thinking, as we're on the road, I'm just like, oh, what if we make that wrong turn, or we just don't get off at that turn? Sometimes the thing messes up. It stops, and it's a redirect. And I'm just coming to think, I'm just like, how many people have taken road trips here? And, the driver who knows it all, who thinks they know it all. Yeah, they're like, I know where I'm going. Women and men. So I'm not trying to, I know where I'm going. The GPS doesn't know what they're talking about. And the person is trying to tell you, and the person next to you, the passenger, the lovely wife or husband, is trying to let you know, I think you're going the wrong way. Or you should have gotten out that exit. You missed your exit. You missed the exit. I know what I'm doing. You keep on going. You keep on going on the road. And then you realize that you were going the wrong direction. And now you're 2 hours in. 2 hours in. You're 2 hours in the trip going the wrong direction. And to GPS. Because the GPS doesn't know what they're talking about. You know more than the GPS. So you're heading on this road, and there's signs all over. There's signs, to tell you that you have to turn this way or whatever, and the GPS is telling you, the lovely spouse is telling you, and you just keep on going the wrong direction for 2 hours, 3 hours. Yeah, we landed in Delaware at one time. We were supposed to go to Jersey. We landed in Delaware. To be specific, and I wasn't the driver. Yeah, that was way back. We got to see Delaware. And you go the wrong direction for 2 hours. Now you lost those 2 hours. And you just say, oh, I guess I was going the wrong direction this whole time. And I was going, yeah, well, the GPS wasn't, that great. You go in 2 hours and you just miss your exit. And you had the opportunity to exit several times, and you still continue to go on. So now you wasted 2 hours, and you realize, oh, snap, I just, didn't listen, or whatever the case is. I thought I knew where I was going. But you get angry at the same time. It's just like, I know what I'm doing. And then you go for 2 hours in the wrong direction. And, and then the hardest part is doing that U-turn. Doing that U-turn when you just know I just wasted 2 or 3 hours going the wrong direction. 2 or 3 hours going on the wrong direction. And making that U-turn, it's uncomfortable, it's embarrassing, because people told you, the GPS told you, and the signs were, available for you. And now you have to wait to make the U-turn. And then as you're going to make that U-turn, it's just the walk of shame. I told you. So I think like your ego comes out, it's just like, oh man. And the driver's quiet all of a sudden, going back in the right direction. So what is a U-turn? U-turn is when you turn in a half circle in one movement so that you're going to the opposite direction. You're reversing, you turn around, you have a change of heart, and you go change to the right direction. So how many times in life we thought we were going in the right direction and we had to make that U-turn? But we're so stuck on, I know what I'm doing. This is what I was taught. This is part of my culture. Forget about what other people say. I know what I'm doing. This is the road that I've always gone through. This is with no turning. I'm used to this. I'm going this way. And while other people are telling you, buddy, things have gone great in your life, thank God, by the grace of God, but this is the wrong direction. And you're going to continue going, you're going to end up failing at something. So the hardest part, again, is making that U-turn. Knowing that all your life you have been stuck in your ways because this is what you learned, this is what you were taught. This is the only thing you know, and you continue going to this direction without stopping. I just want to go into a little bit of the story of Saul of Tarsus. Does anybody know who that is? Saul of Tarsus. So we know this Saul of Tarsus who was so entangled on knowledge of the law. He believed he had to complete a godly mission, which was to seek justice for those who disobeyed the law. Saul had attained a religious spirit and believed he was righteous in the eyes of God. So this is a man that was set in his ways. He knew it all. He was taught with the best of the best, and nobody can tell him any different. So Saul of Tarsus, he was born in what today is called Turkey. He came from Jewish parents. They ended up moving to Jerusalem. And this is where he started his studies. And he studied under a recognizable, top-notch priest over there. And I'm going to talk to you about him. Although his mentor, Gamaliel, he was a Pharisee, by the way. He taught Saul about the law, and he missed out and did not learn how the rabbi, Gamaliel, was also prudent, wise, and had self-control. He had a soft spot for the Gentiles. Note, the rabbi Gamaliel was actually a man of peace and thoughtfulness. In Acts 5:35, he told the council to be careful what they did with Peter and the apostles when they were caught teaching about Christ. Now here's Rabbi Gamaliel. Saul was taught under him, and Gamaliel, again, he was recognized by everyone in Jerusalem. He was a man of wisdom. He was prudent. He was also kind-hearted. And usually when anyone talks about Pharisees, you think the opposite. The Pharisees are, the mean ones, the cruel ones. They don't seek out for justice. They just seek out for themselves. But Gamaliel was different. He taught Saul at the time. He taught Saul everything he knew. And Saul was recognized, was known because of Gamaliel. And everywhere Gamaliel went, Saul was there. In every trial, Saul was there. So he witnessed so much throughout the years under teaching under Gamaliel, the Pharisee. But he missed out on something that he thought it wasn't important. Gamaliel, even though he taught him the law, he also taught him about peace and about thinking about others. And he taught him how to be wise and prudent and have self-control. But Saul wasn't even thinking about that. He was like, listen, I'm here. You don't, in a way, he kind of didn't tell him. He was like, you already told me what I need to know. And I need to seek justice for those people who don't know what they're doing. I know the law, and I'm going to make an effort to persecute those who don't follow the law. So he missed out on everything. And he was set in his ways. Nobody can tell him anything. He was respected, but feared at the same time, because he was very smart, he was very wise, but he was set in his ways, and he already made his focus on controlling power, having power over the people that weren't obeying the law. So what is the law? The law of Moses is the first 5 books of the Bible. And the law teaches you instruction. So it's basically for the Jewish culture. They were taught certain things that they weren't supposed to do, how to go about life, how to praise God, what to do, what not to do. And for those who were high in the politics during that time, they also kind of they also fixed a little bit of the law. They made it for their purpose, to control people. So for those in high positions, they kind of like, okay, but the law says this, the law says that. And they kind of control people through that, instead of presenting it in a loving, respectful way. So Saul was one of those guys. He was the religious police, as we call it. If he caught you doing something wrong on a day of Sabbath or a day of something, and you weren't following the law, that's how it was supposed to be, he will come and he will just like, well, this man is not following the law, he's not following the rules, take him into prison, and so on and so forth. So he was one of those guys that was feared and scary. So he had this religious spirit. And I have to say that the guy, even though he was scary and he was feared, but he was very passionate. He was very passionate in the law. He just knew the law, and he was just like, I have to make things right. It was just like, in a way, of respect for God. And he just wanted to do things right and make sure everybody did it right as well. And that's one of the traits that I like about him, because especially now as believers, we should be very passionate, just like he was. I mean, we should try to seek like God's respect. We should go up there and present that the best to God. So in a way, I kind of understand Saul. He just wanted to make things right, but he was going about it the wrong way. So if we can all open up our Bibles to Acts 9, verse 1 through 9, and I'm reading out of the Amplified Version here. And this is, for many who know already, the road to Damascus, the one that changed everything. And I'm reading out of the Amplified Version. I'm going to start. Now Saul, still breathing threats and murder against the disciples of the Lord, and relentless in his search for believers, went to the high priest, and he asked for letters of authority from him to the synagogues at Damascus, so that if he found any men or women there to the way, believers or followers of Jesus the Messiah, men, women alike, he would arrest them and bring them bound with chains to Jerusalem. So he made it his job to go out and seek anyone who was preaching the gospel, who was preaching about Jesus. He made it his job to go find them and bring them back and put them in jail. So he was just like, he had his mind set. Nobody can tell him any different. On the road, he was just like angry, an angry man, going to this road and just trying to like get all these people who weren't obeying the law and who were going against the word, pretty much. As he traveled, he approached Damascus, and suddenly a light from heaven flashed around him, displaying the glory and the majesty of Christ. And he fell to the ground and heard a voice from heaven saying to him, Saul, Saul, why are you persecuting and oppressing me? And Saul said, Who are you, Lord? And he answered, I am Jesus who you are persecuting. Now get up and go into the city, and you will be told what you must do. The men who were traveling with him were terrified and stood speechless, hearing the voice but seeing no one. Saul got up from the ground, but thought his eyes were open. He could see nothing. So they led him by the hand and brought him into Damascus. And he was unable to see for 3 days, and he neither ate nor drank. So when we are headed in the direction that we're thinking that is the right direction, here comes God, divine intervention, and tells you, excuse me, have you not seen the signs? Have you not seen people testify about me? Have you not seen the miracles that I have done? Have you not heard the testimonies? Why did you keep on going the wrong way? Why did you keep on going the way that you weren't supposed to go to? Sometimes God has to intervene because we're not listening to the signs. When God intervenes, be careful. He physically had to intervene and make him blind because he had his mind made up. And it's just like, even though Saul witnessed so many things, heard about Jesus, he still went against these people who were preaching about Jesus. In life, when we go on to this road, we continue going, and we think that we're going in. You hear so many things about Jesus. You hear so many things about, don't go that direction. You know, parents tell the children, you know, I've gone through that road. Please don't make the same mistake that I've made. Listen to me. Okay, I got away with it. You might not. It's going to be different. So God literally had to intervene in that, and he had to stop him from continuing to persecuting his people. And he was blind. He was made blind. So I can just picture Saul, the guy, the powerful, the mighty, the one who knew it all, the one who had power, boom, and all of a sudden you can't see. What does that do to you? A lot. Now you're unable to do much. You can't see, so you can't do much. So I can imagine what was going on in his head. Just like, I really messed up. I really messed up. Now I can't see. You feel like you're unable to do anything. So for those who are heading on the road that you think, please inquire, ask God, is this road the correct road that I'm taking? Because I need your direction in every sense, in every shape, way, and form. I think I'm going in the right direction, but that's why when we have to pray about things, because sometimes we think that we're thinking about getting married or buying a house or buying a car. Even with a car, I had to ask God. I'm like, I want a car, but I need direction from you. What kind of car? This is my thing. I want this car, but if this is your will, let it be. Even with a car. And people are like, oh, come on, you're being too religious. Even with a car, I'm just like I have to have him in my plans. Because we may think we're going in the right direction, but boy, making that U-turn of shame, coming back and saying, wait, I messed up bad. Now I have to face the consequences of this. Next slide. So what stops us from making that U-turn? First of all, fear. The fear that we will lose everything. Everything that we thought was right, everything that we were taught, everything that we were used to. The fear that we will lose everything that we have gained through our knowledge. That messes up with you. Like, it's just like, well, this is what I know. And this is all that I have attained in life. It's going to be gone if I just, decide to just listen to God. Like, this is what, you hold it so much, you get comfortable in it. And it's just that fear of losing everything if you decide to just step back and ask God for direction. That's happened to me several times. It's just like, well, everything is going right, so I don't understand why you're telling me this is wrong. And losing that, all that you have attained so far, listen, I'd rather know from there on, that point on, that I'm doing something wrong. Everything else, God will multiply everything else. But that fear of losing what you have obtained, it's understandable, of course, as a human being. But at the same time, you want to know. You want to know if you're going the right way. Another thing, arrogance and pride. You believe that you have made the right decisions in life and you choose not to listen or rely on God for direction. An attitude of superiority is manifested. I know it all. And then I had to put this in, beware of humble pride. And this is something that I learned on my last trip when I went to Florida, and Pastor Elizabeth and Pastor Joel brought that up. Humble pride. I didn't even know that existed. And it's pretty much, sometimes we think we're humble, but we have areas in our life that we're prideful. What we think is humbling can actually be pride. So we have to make sure that, okay, we get situated in that. And it's like, wait a minute, I'm a humble person, I don't ask for much, I don't really, do a lot, that I'm humble. I give to people, I did this, I do that. I don't ask for much from God. But beware, because there's certain areas in our life that we're prideful. Don't talk to me about certain things. I'm humble, but don't talk to me about certain things. That pride, all of a sudden it gets manifested. So we have to be careful and beware of that humble pride. You know what humble pride can be? It's an obsession with how others view us. An obsession of how other people view us. We want to be perceived as that powerful Christian who seems to have it all worked out. While it's good to be self-aware and mindful of the impressions we give, it's true. We should be mindful of how we make an impression. But if we have such a problem and just like, well, I have to be perceived in a certain way. I have to be known by, known to be this, known to be that. If we focus too much on that, that's humble pride. You have some type of pride in you. And we shouldn't focus too much on that in our walk. Or if you fail, God forbid, like I told you, how many times did I go to the interview and it's just like 6 times or whatever the case is. And it's just like, I'm supposed to be like a woman of God that, that just the blessing's supposed to, things happen. It's in God's timing. Oh, well, God allows us to go through this road so we can just gain confidence and find faith in that stand. But we just have this, whole like, I have to be blessed in all aspects in my life. Things happen. We have to go through certain processes. And we don't have to have that feeling of, I have to look good for everybody. So don't make it that your thing. Nobody needs to, just be you. Just be you. Just be you. Just be you. And sometimes that pride can just swim right in and we don't even know it. We think we're humble. Lord, I go to your church, I, tithe and offer and, and I do my due diligence in certain things, but, if he touches a certain part of your life, you're like, wait. And all of a sudden you see there's he shows you that there's some pride in you, you have to have this, look about you. You can't walk out of the house without a polo or, outfit or, a hat. And, this, it's just, no, but that's who he is. It's not that he's trying to be somebody else or, that's just his personality. I'm not saying that, he tries to, but, there's certain people that, you can't, people have to recognize me for, this, for my abilities, for my talents, for this and that. It is not about that. So make sure that we are aware that humble pride is the actual real thing. Humble pride. We think we're humble, but there's certain areas that if you strike it, we will see, somebody, who is this? Who is this all of a sudden? Yeah, you're laughing because wait, I think Sister Judy, whoa. I didn't know that about her, like, wow. And I was like, wow, that pride, I knew it. I knew there was some pride in there. So God will stop us in that road and he will let us know. But we have to listen to the signs because we could be going the wrong direction and we thinking is right. So sometimes that stops us from making that turn that we're supposed to. And it's just like, well, that pride, that fear. that won't allow us to make that U-turn. It's okay to make mistakes. Thank God for U-turns. Thank God for U-turns. He's allowed us that. He has grace and mercy upon us. He's like, no matter how bad your road is, or how bad you've gone in the wrong direction, I can still turn things around for you. But you have to decide to make that U-turn. Distractions. Like we take that road trip, and we're thinking that we're going the right direction, and like the GPS is telling you turn right, turn right, turn right, and then you're just like, oh, look at the bird, look at the flowers, look at the cows, and you just get distracted. And in life, you kind of do that. Oh, look at that flyer, and you just like completely ignore the GPS or that spouse that's next to you that's telling you, pay attention to, the signs and everything. But, we get distracted. You get distracted in life. And we're just like, that stops us from actually making the U-turn, going to the right direction. We sometimes think think more is better. We get caught up on certain tasks and idolize it, thinking it will benefit us, but prevents us from digging deeper, thinking carefully and thoroughly. So sometimes we obsess with work. Even work is a distraction. When we think, okay, the more I work, the more I will get, and the less I have to think about other things. And we idolize that. And we think that it's beneficial. Because yes, it's beneficial, more money, coming in, this and that and the third. But if we idolize it, it prevents us from digging deeper and thinking rationally. And, just digging deeper and just seeking God. We're stuck on that. We're stuck on that distraction. In the book of Ephesians, chapter 5, 15 through 16, it says, therefore, see that you walk carefully, living life with honor, purpose, courage, shunning those who tolerate and enable evil. Not as unwise, but as wise, sensible, intelligent, discerning people, making the very most of your time on earth, recognizing and taking advantage of each opportunity and using it with wisdom and diligence, because the last days are filled with evil. The last days are filled with, we are living in these times of evil. So make sure that you don't get distracted too much. Sometimes, you could, on the road trip, you can, oh, look at the flowers, look at this. But don't get fully distracted on that. Paying attention where you're heading, where you're supposed to be heading. But live your life living with honor, purpose, and courage. Honor, purpose, and courage. Make sure that you're going on this road and there's a purpose for it. Not just like, oh, I'm just going in it because it's a thing that I know to do, because it just brings money to my household. But make sure that it's the right way that you're going in. Think about it. Think about these things, that we're not wasting our time and getting distracted on certain things. And it's preventing us from actually making that U-turn where we're supposed to, that turn. Also, lack of knowledge. Romans 10, verse 2 to 3, it says, for I testified about them that they have a certain enthusiasm for God, but not in accordance with the correct and vital knowledge about him and his purpose. For not knowing about God's righteousness, which is based on faith, and seeking to establish their own righteousness based on works, they did not submit to God's righteousness. Make sure, beware that you don't go based on your own knowledge. Make sure that you are really interceding, praying, seeking God's knowledge. Because what we think that we know is not good and it's not righteous in God's eyes. So we have to make sure that we seek God's knowledge. Because having lack of knowledge, what does it say in the book of Hosea? People who perish. You think you're going in the right direction based on your own knowledge. There's signs everywhere. God is putting people. God puts people. He does. Sometimes like he did with Paul, he had to physically intervene. Divine intervention. God puts people along your road. It's telling you, listen, sister, brother, it's time, you should do this, you should do that, you should, I think that you may be going the wrong direction. I know I've been in that road. I lost so much time, and this is what happened. God puts people in your life for a reason. He will put people to direct you through him. So make sure that you look at the signs and just don't stop there. Don't stop and just like, oh, continue going and just like, oh, boo, boo, boo. I'm going to go my way. So when we stop, it's to make the U-turn. So that prevents us from making that U-turn, those things. Another thing that I'm going to be talking, next slide. Ignoring the U-turn signs, the consequences that we can face when you ignore the signs of the exit that you're supposed to go and you can continue going. The U-turn signifies to make right choices, decisions for yourself and for your household. I mean, that road is everything. The road that you're taking is going to fall back on your household. Every decision that you make for your household is going to fall back on you and generations to come. So make sure that you make the right decisions for your household, for yourself, and for generations to come, because it's going to affect. It's like a domino effect. Make sure that you're on that right road. Make sure that you're supposed to get out when you're supposed to get out. And even if everything goes wrong, make sure that you stop and just like recognize that you're making that wrong decision. Seek God for help and allow him to help you to make that U-turn, because again, we get caught up on our emotions. We still continue going on this road and we think we're going okay, but we are so prideful that we don't want to make that U-turn. And it depends. Everything that depends on your life, on your children's life, and on generations to come. So don't allow your pride to get in. Don't allow your fears to get in, or lack of knowledge. Seek knowledge. Seek his word. Because sometimes, many times, we think we're going in the right direction and we're not. Psalms 32, 8-9. He tells you, I will instruct you and teach you in the way you should go. I will counsel you with my loving eye on you. Do not be like the horse or the mule, which have no understanding, but must be controlled by bit and bridle, or they will not come to you. Could you imagine? This is a bit embarrassing, because he's saying to us, don't be like the horse that you have to here, I don't want to do that to you, but sometimes, you just have to be, hello. Don't be like that. I want to instruct you the right way, and I don't want to give you the instruction through like a mule or a horse that you have to pretty much beg and plead and do things to get their attention. They have to be controlled by that. I want to give you a blessing, but here, I want to direct here's a blessing, and I want you to go this way. No, I just want my blessing just the regular way. I don't need to be tangled up on that. God doesn't want to do that to you. He wants to instruct you the right way. We're not animals. We're not, he doesn't want to try to beg for us to go on the right direction. So the consequences from Saul to Paul. So he went on this road, and he was just going the wrong way with the wrong intentions. But God allowed him to make that U-turn. And unfortunately, he had to use a method that I'm pretty sure he didn't want to use, but he had to intervene and actually blind him for 3 days so he can recognize that you're going the wrong way. That's not the road that I want you to go in. You're led by anger. You're led by pride. I want you to stop and think and ask for my direction, ask for my instruction.
Thank you for joining the NBMI experience today. Like, comment, and subscribe at www.facebook.com/NBMINY or our YouTube channel at www.youtube.com/NBMICHURCH. Also check out our new and improved website at www.newbeginningschurches.com And finally, check out our new awesome church app, available on both Android and Apple platforms. Search your app store for NBMICHURCH and be blessed.